Hi, Eric Gimbal, ericgimbal.com, and today I'm going to tell you why I think this whole Huawei story has nothing to do with Apple and their iPhone. Let's start. Well, first of all, I do this video not for politics, not for telling bad things or good things about the US or Donald Trump, or bad things about China or good things about China. I do this video mainly because I've got many followers that have a Huawei smartphone, and they actually want to know what's going to happen, and maybe want to know a bit about the story. What's the reason behind all this story? So first, we're going to forget for a second about iPhone, Huawei, smartphone, all this. We're going to speak about war and about strategy. War, not commercial war, about real war. Dead people, guns, bomb, all this. Well, when there is a war, it's never really nice. So the first thing you have to do to your enemy is cut the supply of energy, electricity, petrol, oil. You must do everything that they cannot have enough energy to operate. Second, drinkable water. Without drinkable water, in a few days, the civil population is actually begging its own government to stop the war because they have nothing to drink, they get sick, they die, all this. And third is to control or to stop communication and telecommunication. Land communication, well, with bombing you can cut roads, cut train, railway, cut bridge, all this. And telecommunication, you actually try or to control or spy on them, so you know exactly what your enemy is actually planning. And otherwise you can also cut telecommunication to make sure they cannot communicate between each other, so armies cannot be coordinated, they cannot coordinate attacks, they cannot coordinate anything. It's important to cut the telecommunication, so this way they cannot really operate, and you can win the war this way. So let's go back to Huawei. Many people think that the US have done this mainly because they want iPhone to sell better. They want Huawei not to compete with iPhone in the US. But US citizens know that, but many foreign people don't know that Huawei is not actually present in the US. You can maybe buy on the internet, but there is not a commercial presence. Actually, Huawei is not there. So why are they doing this then? Well, the thing is, Huawei, yes, does sell in the US, but they sell 5G infrastructure and mobile infrastructure. So then you think, yeah, so you mean this guy actually putting some infrastructure, communication infrastructure in our country, and if one day there's a problem with them, what will happen? Well, I think there are no programmers that create anything without a backdoor. For safety reason, if there's an attack, they need to maybe re-enter what they've programmed, software, whatever, and be able to fix it. Sometimes it's just to make sure you get paid. Your client doesn't want to pay you, so what you do is you have a backdoor, so you can actually blackmail, say, okay, if you don't pay me, I'll just cut everything. And sometimes it's basically because you want to attack your own clients, and so you've left the backdoor there. So the problem is, and this is what Donald Trump is saying, is yeah, but Huawei is really close to Beijing government. If they tell them to stop the infrastructure in the US, they will do it. And he's right. He's right, because there are no independent companies. And Trump knows that, because you see, he just said now American companies cannot sell to Huawei, although they are private companies. They don't privately owned companies have to stop. They cannot sell anymore. So you see that they are not independent from the government. Same thing with Huawei. If tomorrow the Chinese government says, okay, attack your infrastructure in the US or in the UK or wherever, they will have to do it. That's it. That's the way it works. It's sad or it's surprising, but that's the way it is. So you start thinking, is it reasonable to have your telecommunication infrastructure in the hands of a company that is of a nationality of a country that is not your ally? Is that safe? No, obviously this is not safe. And actually there are countries like Spain, they also have a lot of Huawei infrastructure. Even the military have Huawei infrastructure, and you think about it, you think, whoa, what happened if there's a problem with China? The UK last week or 2 weeks ago, ministry had to resign because he had told some information about the negotiation they were having with Huawei with the 5G network. So you see, this is a real problem. So people who actually think that the country, company is 100% independent of its country or its government, this is wrong. Second, people who think that the US are doing that, the USA are doing this because of the iPhone, I think they're completely wrong. Because I think the big loser, really big loser in this story is actually Apple. Why? Because Google doesn't sell in China. Actually, they don't have Google Play in China. It's forbidden. Facebook is forbidden in China. Instagram is forbidden in China. WhatsApp is forbidden in China. So for this company, it doesn't matter. But Apple, yes, they do sell in China. They sell iPhone, they sell laptops, they sell computers. So this is a real problem because now China is telling, okay, no iPhone in China. But it's even worse than that. It's actually that China is one of Apple's provider. They have like 250 or 300 providers, and some are Chinese company. This means that this Chinese company now, if Chinese government says you cannot sell to Apple, that's a big problem because there are some components that are made in China and then they're assembled in another country, but they come from China. And from one day to another to tell Apple you cannot get that, that's a really big problem. So I think the big loser is actually Apple in this story. There are also not only American companies, other companies like the British company ARM, although it's Japanese owned, it's actually in Great Britain, in the UK. So actually ARM that sells architecture for some component of the processor. I'm not an electrician, so I may say things a bit wrong, but don't worry, mainly this is the idea. So ARM said they're not going to supply Huawei anymore. So that's a problem for Huawei. But really, what is the future? First, Huawei can perfectly create their own operating system. Actually, they already have it, although they have not issued it, but they already have it. In the Huawei watch, actually they don't use Android, they use their own operating system, and they can still use Android free code like anyone. Even if you want to put it on a coffee machine, you can actually use Android if you want. Not the final version made by Google. I mean the Google Play and all this stuff, all that, they cannot use it. But what is the open source? Yes, they can actually use it. So they could perfectly use it. And things like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and there are several apps that you can actually use without app and access via an internet navigator. So it would be, it's possible to actually serve these services without the special app. So I think this is not going to be a big problem. If actually you bought this Huawei smartphone because they have great cameras, they have Leica designed lenses. So if you bought this smartphone for this, don't sell it, because we don't know what's going to happen right now, and many people now are trying to get bargain out of you, and that they will negotiate, really drop the price, because they know you're worried, so they will buy for a third or a fifth of what it's worth. So wait. If you don't have any, don't buy any, no? But if you already have it, don't sell it. So what's going to happen? Right now, China is doing a counterattack, and this counterattack is tax. I put higher taxes for the US product to be imported in China. Second, I lock Apple, iPhone, computers, all this, and Chinese providers of Apple. But there is one thing that is a lot worse than all the rest, is China has some earth minerals that are really specific, and they extract them, they sell them, they extract maybe some from some other country, but they are Chinese companies, and you need this special earth for batteries, for electronic components, and if they stop selling them to the US, this is a massive problem. Companies like Tesla, like any company using batteries, any company creating electronic components, will have a massive problem without this. That they're already not enough on Earth, but China has most of them. So this is a big problem. So the idea is negotiation. Negotiation, what is going to happen? Well, I think that what's going to happen is some kind of agreement is, okay, American company can, first of all, American government does not want to look like they're stepping back, because already they said this, from tomorrow you cannot work with Huawei, and then it's been changed to 3 months delay. So they don't want to step back. So to save the face, what they're likely to do is, okay, we're going to do a global agreement with China, commercial agreement, and we are going to include back Huawei. First, yes, we can accept our companies to sell to Huawei for smartphones, but Huawei cannot sell infrastructure in the US. This is probably the center of the negotiation regarding Huawei. And as China is interested in selling to the US, and the US are interested in selling to China and importing product from China, they will reach an agreement. I'm sure about that. So it means like it's likely that your phone won't have any problem, because during this negotiation they have still 3 months of possible collaboration between Google and Huawei and all these American companies. I do think this is going to be fixed. But anyway, I do think that Huawei is going to issue their own operating system, because they do not want this to happen again. So what they will probably is create their own operating system. It's already created, install it, and as it will be possible, still use the app like a WhatsApp, Facebook app, YouTube app, Instagram app. I think it will work. But be prepared to see in the future, very near future, a new OS on your Huawei smartphone. So if you bought your phone for the camera, don't sell it, use it, don't worry. For photography there won't be any problem. If you're using an American app on it and it cannot be used anymore, I do believe that if Chinese can send a satellite to space, they won't have any problem creating a photography app. Actually they already have their own apps, no? But maybe the one your favorite app, well, don't worry, they will have another favorite app for you. There's no problem with that. Okay, but I think the conclusion is, I don't share many point of view of the US government, but in this right situation, I think it's not a matter of US government, it's a matter of security, safety for any country. You should think first before accepting foreign infrastructure in your own country, because if there is any problem with that country, the original, the country of this company, then they may lock you out, and they may just make a sabotage of your own infrastructure, and that's a big problem. So obviously in this point, I think the Americans are completely right to protect themselves regarding this. The way to do it is a bit ugly, that you cannot sell Huawei to the smartphone, and I accuse you of spying, because there's no proof about this. Okay, the way it's done is really ugly, but the reality is, even if the Chinese government is not spying on the American, they are right not to accept any foreign infrastructure for their telecommunication system. Okay, thank you for watching the video. If you think it may interest anyone, you can share it on your social network. There's a small button down here for that. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a button, a small bell. If you click on it, you get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgimbal.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. Send me an email to info@ericgimbal.com. I put some links of my gear on Amazon, and also links to other parts of my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Bye.